Everything I've been through and everything that I've seen has turned me into the woman that you see. Behind all of the smiles and all your favorite melodies, for a fistful of tears, years full of pain, y'all don't hear me.
Hi, I'm Leonette Talley, and you're listening to Virago 24/7. Virago meaning female warrior, and 24/7 meaning all day, every day. I bring women on the show from all walks of life, and we talk about anything going on in our lives and in the world. Here you will find everyday growth, everyday healing, and everyday warriors. Hello, so joining me today is Briana Brooks, and Bri and I have known each other for about 9 years or so, and at the time, she was dating a friend's son, and when she turned 18, she needed a job, and so she started working at my husband's dental practice. And when she came in with like zero experience, but she blew everyone away with how quickly she learns. And she's just so detailed, like she knows people's names and she remembers like what vacations they took and their children's names. And it just blows everyone away. So she's super charismatic and has such a beautiful, outgoing personality. And I would say maybe in the past 4 to 5 years, we've become super close and she's become like a little sister to me. And now basically she's part of the family. She sees my husband as a father figure, but since I am not that old, I told her she cannot say that I am her mother. So she's like a sister. But anyways, we've had so many vulnerable moments together, many, many laughs, many, many cry sessions. And the reason I wanted to bring Briana on is basically to share her story about her childhood, because I feel like our upbringing defines us in so many ways. And parents sometimes forget that and become so self-involved that they forget that they're molding a child. So in her 26 years, she's been through so many life experiences. She's suffered abuse. She's been in foster care system. She has substance abuse in her family. And she had a son at 17 years old and has been a single mom for almost 8 years now. So we're going to dive into Briana's life, and because she's currently on the road to healing and growing, and she's trying to find her way in this world. And I just want to come alongside her and walk with her on our journey. So welcome, Bri.
Thank you for having me. So yeah, like Leonette said, I have known Dr. Talley and Leonette for about 9 years. It's crazy looking back now where we started because, like she said, my son's father was the child of a friend of theirs. And so I met them when I was 17, and before I even had a child is when I met them. So it's crazy the way things have played out because you guys were at my baby shower and everything.
And we've seen your son grow and we've been on a ride with you.
Quite the journey.
Yes, we have.
Quite the journey. I don't think there's any two people in the world that have seen me grow up and seen the good, the bad, and the ugly quite like you two have. So it's a pretty special relationship for sure.
So let's start from the beginning. Like how we all start, we're born.
Yes, I was born.
And we don't get to choose the family that we're born into. So just describe a little bit like your mom and your father and how that was growing up.
So I always tell people I was dealt a pretty poor hand of cards, I feel, from birth. So my mom, I have a mom and a dad, obviously. And then I've got 5 siblings, or there's 5 of us total. So from the beginning, both of my parents they both suffered traumatic childhoods as well. Both of their parents were drug addicts. My dad lost his mom at a pretty young age, and they both suffered from abuse and substance abuse and things like that. So, which led them into their own journey with substance abuse and trying to figure life out because of the cards that they were dealt. So it was just kind of like this cycle. So for as long as I can remember, both my parents were drug addicts, in and out of jail. My mom has 37 felonies and counting. My dad is a heroin addict and an alcoholic. My mom is a meth addict, and I've watched them struggle with abuse. I've watched my dad overdose. I've seen my parents go to jail. So me and my siblings all just kind of had a pretty tough childhood.
And the 5 siblings are not all from the same parents, which is a really fascinating story. And I honestly don't even remember how they're all connected. But so you're kind of like mine. We have a blended family.
We do. Very
and
blended.
It's like, well, who does, like when people see us together, like how in the world do you guys all belong? And so anyway, so explain that.
Yeah. So my mom was married to a man prior to being married to my dad. My dad was married to a woman prior to being married to my mom. With my dad's first wife, he had 2 kids. I have an older brother and an older sister. And then with my mom's first marriage, she had a daughter. So my parents, they were all in the same group of friends, and they all knew each other very well. My mom and my dad and their first spouses actually all lived together. So it was the 4 of them and their children. So my mom and my dad, being the reckless people that they are, they actually cheated on their spouses with each other and got pregnant with me. So that's how I came about. And my mom was actually supposed to have an abortion with me. And my dad kept her up all night the night before. And because the appointment was scheduled super early, and she ended up missing her appointment the next morning and decided not to go through with the abortion.
So we would have no Briana.
We would have no Briana. The world would be,
isn't that,
man.
Yeah, I know, but isn't that crazy how
It is crazy.
certain things happen like that?
It is
and
crazy.
you just wonder why, like what?
Yeah.
Well, why was I meant to be on this planet?
It is insane.
Yeah.
And I remember, it's funny because I learned that story so young. And so I remember
So you always knew this?
I always knew
my
this.
gosh.
Always knew this.
Wow.
And I remember there were so many times that I would tell my mom because of everything that she did and my dad did. I'm like, why didn't you just abort me? And so they had me, and then they decided that they wanted to keep me and they wanted to be together. So they got married and then had my little sister, who is 3 years younger than me.
Okay.
So my siblings, my oldest sister is 29. My second oldest sister would have been 28. My brother would have been 28 today, actually. It's his birthday today. And then I have a sister who's 23. So there's 5 of us total.
Wow.
That's how that goes.
And so when you say was, what does that mean with your brother and your sister?
My older brother, he kind of took after my dad and struggled with substance abuse. He had a really hard life, and I think his biggest issue was my dad hung the moon in his eyes, and he always wanted my dad to be around. So he struggled with a heroin addiction just as well as my dad. And he tried to get his life together so many times. He had 2 young children. And in 2016, he bought a motorcycle, and the next day he was in a motorcycle accident and passed away suddenly. And he had been sober for about, I think it was close to 2 months. So he was really trying to
get his...
Pretty tragic.
Man. Yeah.
So he would have been 28 years old today. And then my older sister, who she turned 28 on April 30th of this year. And on June 12th of this year, she passed away from a fentanyl overdose because she struggled with addiction as well. So heroin and meth and everything under the sun she struggled with. So she passed away from, they ruled it a fentanyl overdose, but she had everything that you could imagine in her system. So
I know there's been times where, like, I feel like when you talk about your upbringing, you talk about your sister. I know you have all the siblings, but the one that you have the same mom and dad with, like, tell me a little bit about, like, how the 2 of you guys survived together. I know you've told me stories about, living in motels and being left alone and stuff like that. So,
yeah. So, her and I always joke with her and say that she was my first baby because I'm 3 years older than her, but from the day she was born, my mission as a child was to protect her. Our parents were in and out of jail constantly. We were with different family members constantly. My earliest Christmas memory actually was we were living in Texas. My parents had been on the run for quite some time. And we were living in Texas. It was Christmas Eve.
On the run?
From the police.
What'd they do?
So
you can't gloss over that.
That's okay. So at this particular time, my mom was on the run for identity theft and prescription fraud. She would write fake prescriptions. This was back in the day when you could get prescription pads. And so she would do that, and identity theft. And my dad was on the run for, I think it was a probation violation because he had been on probation since before I was born.
Goodness.
So I couldn't even tell you what his first charge was, to be honest. But the majority of their charges were identity theft, and then from then on out, my dad's was probation violation because he was always using, and so he couldn't report to probation or parole because he didn't want to go to jail, but he always ended up back in jail.
Yeah.
My mom was identity theft, but at that particular time, they were writing bad prescriptions because they were hooked on everything.
Yeah.
And so it was Christmas Eve, and I remember we had just put up the Christmas tree, and we were coloring this giant picture. It was my mom, my dad, and my big sister and my little sister. And this was the first time that they had gotten arrested for a long time. And my dad looks out the window, and all you see is blue because there's so many cop cars. I can't even tell you how many.
They found you guys.
And my dad said, I'll never forget it. My dad said, "Dawn, we have company." And then I remember them being cuffed on the couch. My mom was hysterically crying, and they took us that night, and they took us to, I guess it was like a temporary foster family or something like that. So that's where we woke up on Christmas morning.
Wow.
And I think that
I don't think I've heard this story.
No. Yeah, that was the first time that they
Christmas.
It was pretty bad.
And how old were you?
I think that I was probably around 5 or 6.
So you remember.
Because
we remember 5 or 6.
I remember. Wow. And they had both been arrested many times before, but it was always where one parent would keep us while the other one was trying to get the parents bail or whatever. One of them was always there, and they were never gone for more than 30 days. But this time they were both gone at the same time.
Wow.
And I remember I got a pair of plastic pink high heels for Christmas that year.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember the little details.
So you just woke up in strangers' house.
Yeah.
Like they just found a family and put you there.
Yes.
And they put all 3 of you in the same house, or they separated you?
They put all 3 of us in the same house.
Okay.
And I remember that there were bunk beds. I remember it just being a middle-aged lady. She was very nice. Obviously, you can't really comfort a child. It just got taken away from her parents on Christmas Eve.
Oh, yeah.
But she consoled us as best as she could. And my sister, for me, at the time, every other time that my parents had gotten arrested prior to that, she was my protector. I was her baby. And her and I had a closer relationship. And
is this the older sister that passed?
the one that passed,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the next day, her dad lived in Kentucky at the time, and he came to the foster family's house and got her. And she
goodness.
was 8 years old. So yes, I would have been 6, and then that would have made my little sister 3.
So she went to live with her dad.
She went to live with her dad.
And then you guys are there with the big sister.
Yeah. So in that moment, I became Morgan's protector, kind of like how Jessica was for me. Jessica's my older sister. Morgan is my little sister. And so, I mean, throughout the years, she was just, that's why I always say that she was my first baby, because it was like that maternal love. Like you will sacrifice whatever to make them happy.
Yeah.
You will do whatever it takes to
and
make
like
them
you guys
happy.
had the same experiences. So like my youngest brother, so yeah, the blended family thing, but and yours is not really blended because they were all your siblings. They were blood related, different parents, but whatever, it's still siblings. But with Jose, we have the same mom and dad. And since my parents weren't together growing up, it's like we were together, and I felt like his protector too. So I understand how that is. It's like wherever he goes, I go, and vice versa. So I remember being super protective, beating people up, and fighting his battles. And I think, and
Got
even
me in
as
a lot of trouble in high school.
And then even as we're older now, right?
Yeah,
and we're all
absolutely.
adults. I'm like, he's still like my little baby brother, and I want the best for him. And it's just weird how that happens, where when you're the older one, looking out for the younger one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, how long did you guys stay in that house?
We were only in that house for a couple of days.
Okay.
I don't remember well, like I said, I only remember the little details. I don't remember the big details. But after that, because we were in Texas and we didn't have anybody in Texas. My parents were just on the run, and so they ran wherever they
And they were
could be
from
found.
where? Originally?
Georgia.
They were
originally.
okay. They were from Georgia.
Yeah,
okay.
I was born here in Marietta. So, but all of my family
But you guys
lived
ended
here.
up in Texas because you were on the run.
We were in Texas, Missouri, Florida, everywhere that they thought they couldn't be found.
We got to get out of Georgia.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So my mom did not want us to be permanently put into the foster care system. And they told me that if we were, then we would be separated. And I had just gotten separated from my older sister, so I couldn't imagine. Morgan was 3.
Yeah.
And even at 6 years old, I already I couldn't imagine her being alone. And that's all I could think about was her being alone.
Yeah.
So we went to live with my step-grandfather, my dad's stepdad. We went and lived with him for the first time.
Because how long did they stay in prison? Years or months?
My mom stayed for, I think, 19 months. My dad has gotten a little bit luckier than my mom throughout the years. My mom did the heavy duty work. My dad was just her accomplice, or would make her do the bad things. So he never really got more than 6 months.
Okay. So he got out.
Yeah. So he got out.
But you went to stay with his stepdad.
His stepdad.
So it's not blood related?
No.
Okay.
No. We stayed with him for the first time. And then we were there for 19 months. My mom got out. She got us back. She went back to jail. And then we stayed with my aunt and her husband and her 3 kids.
And these are all different states, or you're just moving from house to house, city to
house
city?
to house, city to city. In my 12 years of school, I never went to a school more than a year.
Girl.
Ever.
Okay, so same with me. Well, I'll take it back. I think 2 years is the most.
Really?
Because I was counting, and I don't have abuse in my family. No one did drugs or anything like that, but we moved a ton.
Yeah.
And so it was from kindergarten through 12th. I counted 12, 13 schools because it's we would move in the middle of the freaking school year.
Exactly.
And it's what the hell? Mm-hmm. You're always a new kid. Yeah. You learn how to adapt. And I think that's why you and I get along with people and know how to interact with people of all. Because I'm well, why do I understand people so well and this person is oblivious? It's because we didn't have a freaking choice.
Yeah. Yeah, didn't start over.
Every single time. Mm-hmm. And if you wanted some kind of any friendships, you just had to learn how to. But I was so shy. Were you shy? I was. No. I was extreme. So the way you are now, that's how you've always been?
I actually was.
Because you're very outgoing.
I was the angry kid.
Oh, me too.
But I was angry.
Me too.
But I wasn't.
I wasn't angry in school though. I was always angry outside of school.
I was that kid that if you accidentally shoulder swiped, I'd be what's your problem? You want to fight? I was just angry.
Yeah. I get that.
So, but I was able to, I guess, conform to whatever I was just surviving. So I was able to conform. So when I needed to make friends, I was able to make friends.
Yeah. But if someone was gonna mess with you, you were gonna you're gonna end the fight. Yeah. Yeah.
I've been in many fights.
Yeah.
As little as I am.
You are a teeny little something.
I am. Yeah. No.
And I'm big now, but I used to be a little skinny. And
I've seen pictures.
And I like to fight because I had to let my anger out on somebody.
Yeah, I was.
And it was just, And then since I was quiet, people didn't expect that from me.
Exactly. I think because I was little and I was I can be super happy and outgoing. They didn't expect it.
Yeah.
So
they're I couldn't pick on this chick.
I was in court-ordered anger management by the time I was 7. Yeah.
I didn't know that either. Yeah. Seriously?
Because DFACs would come to my school and visit every couple of weeks. They would do check-ins to make sure everything was going at home. And by the time I was 7, I was in anger. DFACs required that I take anger management.
They're this kid has a lot. I mean, well, hello.
Yeah.
Did they even have to ask why she's angry?
Right.
So when you went from the step grandfather to the your aunt on your
dad's side.
On your
It was
dad's
my dad's
side.
sister.
And then where else did you go after that?
So I've lived with my grandfather, my step-grandfather. I don't even consider him my grandfather. He's my step-grandfather.
And he was an a-hole, right?
He was.
He was not very nice.
No, he was he molested children in my family before, and my parents signed custody over to him knowing that had taken place. So as you can imagine, the same things happened with me. So I was with him a couple of times. I think it was a total of 3 or 4 times, actually.
So you went back and forth to him?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
My gosh.
Many times.
Wow.
Actually, up until I turned 18, he had legal custody of me. Yeah, because my mom never really legally got us back. She technically kidnapped us, is what happened.
So she was out of
decided
prison.
not to fight. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So until I turned, well, where I was living at the time, it was 17. You could move out legally at 17.
Okay.
And so he had legal custody up until that time. Yeah.
And is this the one that you said, I don't know, I kind of mix all the stories together. But
There's
you
a
said,
lot.
You said there was one grandfather on the run.
My mom's dad.
Okay.
He kidnapped 2 federal agents.
Yeah.
And
yes, that's the story.
He did 10 years in federal prison.
Dang.
Yeah.
And so he kidnapped them. Why? Do you know?
So they were on the run. My grandfather, my maternal grandfather and grandmother were also, like I said, my parents both were dealt pretty.
So see, people, this is why I have Briana on. Not to like stop what you're saying, but hello, people out there that want children and are having them. Like, do you not realize what you are doing?
Yeah.
To children, and then we grow up to be adults, and we have to deal with that crap.
Yeah.
And then people wonder why there's so much craziness in this world.
Exactly.
So her parents were like that. So then in turn, she's like that. And then she's,
yeah.
Luckily you're here. And anyways, we'll go on with that story later. But geez, girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, what you're saying is completely true. Because that's why I have 2 siblings that aren't here anymore.
Yeah. Because their demons just ate them alive.
Yeah.
And then they turned to drugs to... Oh, goodness. Anyways, that's heavy. But, okay. So they were on the run and then he kidnapped the federal agents.
They were staying at a hotel and, my mom actually, I don't remember how old she was, but she was young. She was, I think she was younger than 13. I know that for sure. But they were on the run. So the FBI found them. And so 2 FBI agents came, put a gun to my mother's head, and said, "Take me to your father." She was in the hotel lobby. Said, "Take me to your father." So my mom did. And when my mom got up there, my grandfather, he was crazy, still is. So when my mom got up there,
is he still alive?
Yeah, I haven't seen him since I was 8.
Okay,
so he's not.
Okay, he's not around.
He is an awful person. Completely like
I did not know he was still living.
Racist and he's just an awful
asshole.
person. Exactly. So my grandfather told my mom when they were hugging goodbye to get his gun. So my mom my mom put the gun in her pants and went to go hug my grandfather and slipped it into his, pulled the gun on 2 federal agents, tied them up, and they ran. So he was charged with kidnapping 2 federal agents. He did 10 years in federal prison, and my grandmother did 5 years in federal prison. Ooh. Actually, no, my mom was 10 because I remember she was 10 years old when he left, and when he got out, she was 20, and she had like a bunch of kids. Yeah.
Wow.
So, the cycle is
insane.
Yeah.
So when they got out, because your grandmother, so did they divorce or something?
They divorced.
Okay.
My grandmother married another man. And had another child.
Okay.
My aunt, she's only like a year older than me, but she actually got put in foster care as well. And because the man that my grandmother married raped my aunt, so she got put in foster care, and he died in prison for
doing that.
And so she was adopted off.
So you don't know her?
I've seen her twice, once when my son was born and then at my sister's funeral a couple months ago. Yeah, it's crazy.
So this is your mom's sister?
My mom's sister.
Dang, okay, I didn't know that. See, I thought I knew a lot about you, but I didn't know that.
There's too much to tell.
It's a lot, girl. So I feel like by the time I met you, you were 17. So by then you're like going back and forth between grandpa and auntie and mom.
Yes. So I had just actually right before I met you guys, I had just moved in with my mom in Beaufort, Georgia.
Okay.
And because I was in a relationship with a guy that, I mean, we were together since I was 15, he was 18. So at this point, I'm 17. I had to get out of my grandfather's house. So I moved to Kansas City to be with him because my mom wasn't stable enough to have us yet.
Yeah.
So I moved to Kansas City and moved in with him.
And where did Morgan go? Was she stayed with grandpa?
Morgan, no, she was with my dad's little sister.
Okay. Goodness. Yeah. I'm just curious because I know you guys kind of stay together. Okay.
And so I moved in with him, and after like 2 months of being there, my mom said, "Look, I have a girlfriend now," which was also shocking.
I forgot that part of the story.
Yeah.
She went from men to women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, to back up a little bit, when I was 12...
So she had, okay.
My mom got arrested, and this time she did 5 years, almost 6 years in prison.
Okay.
So she got arrested when I was 12. She got out. I was about to turn 17, which is right around the time that I met you guys.
And that's when you moved to be with her.
I moved to be with her because I realized I didn't want to be living in Kansas City with a guy at 17 years old.
Yeah.
But I didn't know I was coming back to get pregnant at 17 years old.
Girl, and that's what you did. You went from one guy to the other and had a baby.
I did. So yeah, I was 17. I had just moved in with my mom. I had just met my son's father, and
at school. You guys went to the same high school.
The high school.
Yeah.
And I think the first family vacation I went on with you guys, when we all went to Florida, I don't think I was pregnant yet, was I?
You were.
I was pregnant.
I don't remember. You might have just found out, or you were about to find out, but it was very close.
It was very close.
Yeah, it was close.
So yeah, that all happened in a really short period of time. But yeah, that I had just come out of all of that whenever I met you guys. Yeah.
And then here you are going through all these things and just a very chaotic upbringing. And now you're going to bring a child into the world. And how did you feel about that? Because I was not 17, I was 21, but I was very, not ready. Not ready to have a baby. Yeah. So I can't even imagine at 17. I mean, that's not that much older, but still.
I don't think anybody's ever mentally prepared to have a child and what it brings.
That's true. Especially when you are still trying to figure your stuff out. And then it's like, oh, wow, now I have to bring this child. Did you think about abortion?
Never. So my son's dad's family, they were for abortion completely, and they wanted me to get an abortion. And they had talked me into it for a couple of weeks, or not talked me into it. They attempted to talk me into it for a couple of weeks, but I never even let the thought cross my mind.
Yeah.
Because I was, in hindsight, very naive, but in my mind, I was excited because I thought, okay, this is it. I'm breaking the cycle. I'm going to be a mom now, and I'm going to be a kick-ass mom, and, So I never considered it, but they tried for a couple of weeks to get me to. So I remember I was working at a barbecue restaurant, and one night I texted my son's father's mom, my baby daddy mama. I texted her and I said, I'm going to come over and we need to talk. So I went over there and I said, listen, I'm keeping this baby.
Yeah.
You guys can be involved. You guys cannot be involved. I won't ask for $1. He doesn't ever have to see the baby, but I'm keeping it. So you guys are in or you're out. Yeah. She said, okay, we're in. I just had to be very stern about it. Yeah. And then, it never crossed my mind.
Really?
I knew that I was going to keep it.
It's crazy because I don't know how many people I've admitted this to. I think Kaylin is my oldest, for those who don't know, but she's 19 now. And I had her at 21. But when I found out I was pregnant with her at 20, it crossed my mind. And so I was at UGA at the time, University of Georgia. So that's when I found out I was pregnant with her. And I was like, oh my, I had to tell my parents. I was terrified to tell my father because I knew he would be so disappointed. And that was an understatement. But when she was born anyways, he loved her and everything. But I remember thinking, I can't go through with this. And even though that's not even what I believe, I don't believe in that. But for a split second I did. And I'm like, I I don't have any money. Like I had like a little part-time job. I'm like, I don't have the money for that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what stopped me. But then also I remember at Georgia, they always have at UGA, they have a paper, I don't even remember the name of the paper. It's been so long since I've been in school. But anyways, in there it said, if you're pregnant, or said something like that, like a tagline, like, are you pregnant? Come see us. And it was like this clinic, and then they're pro-life. And I'm like, well, let me just call them up, and just cause I didn't know where to go, what to do. And they showed me, they're like, okay, now this is how big, cause I was 3 months pregnant when I found out.
Oh my God.
3 months.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, first of all, it's too late, even if you wanted to. But then when they showed you like a little plastic baby doll, like a little tiny little naked baby that looked like a little nugget, and they're like, this is how big your baby is right now. And then they, hooked me up with the doctor, and it was just like, wow, yeah, no, I have to keep this baby, and I don't know how it's going to happen. And I'm freaking terrified and I'm scared, but we're doing this.
Well, you and I always joke about like even small stuff, like whenever it comes to like work, we can just like figure it out.
Yes.
Yes. Even if it's something as little as just finding something on the computer, we just have that mindset.
Yeah. We're going to figure it out. Yeah.
And that's where it was
true.
when you get pregnant young and you want to keep your baby.
You figure it out. And, you're still on your journey, but for me, she's 19 years old.
Yeah.
And it's worked out beautifully.
Oh, yeah.
And it sucked in the beginning, it was hard, but you have people that come alongside you and help you through the process. And that's the beauty of life, that you have, like something feels so like huge in your life, but when you just accept it and just say, this is what I'm doing, and you just buckle down and just get it done. Like God brings so many people into your life to help you with the process. So anyways,
it does. The past 3 years, really since my brother died, my life has been a complete shit show, to be honest. But I can honestly say that I don't know where I would have been if I hadn't had Maddox. Yeah. Because I had nobody. My mom was excited that I was pregnant, and I was 17 and I was a junior in high school.
So she wasn't like, oh my gosh,
the guy that I was. So that just shows her maturity level. Like I didn't have anybody that said like, okay, you need to go to college, you need to learn how to budget things. I'm going to teach you how to be an adult. I had nobody. So I cannot. When I had my son is Maddox. When I had Maddox, I knew in my own mind, even though I had no idea how I was going to do it, I knew that I had to grow up and be an adult and be responsible and do my best to thrive for him. But if I hadn't had him, I don't know where I would be. Especially over the past 4 years, everything that's taken place. Yeah. I have no idea where I'd be.
And so let's talk about that.
Let's do it.
Because what has taken place? So he was born, and, I don't remember. You didn't graduate school?
No.
You got your...
So while my parents were on the run, I missed a school year, so I was held back. So the year I should have graduated, I didn't. So I was only, even though I was 17, I was only a junior in high school when I got pregnant. So when I got pregnant, I was working at a barbecue restaurant. I decided that I was going to move in with my son's father's parents, and I had no map, nothing. I had no plan, nothing. I was just kind of living day by day, which is what I was used to. Yeah. From the moment I was born, I've never had a plan. Every day is you wake up and you survive, and you just get through it.
Yeah. So that was not anything abnormal for you.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. So you're used to living with people. You're used to just going with whatever the wind is taking you. Yeah.
Just floating around.
Yeah.
So then right after my son was born, it was right around the time that I had turned 18. My son's grandmother was working for Dr. Talley at the time. And she was like, hey, we need somebody to come answer the phones. And my intention was to go to school. And I didn't even know what I wanted to go to school for. I was just going to go to school because that's what you were supposed to do at 18 years old. So she called and she was like, hey, until the semester starts, because I already signed up. I had already got my GED, signed up for the semester of school. She's like, until it starts, you should come work here. You can just answer the phone, schedule appointments. We'll teach you. It'll be easy. And we'll start you off at, it was a very low amount looking back, but I was excited about it.
You're like, yeah, I'm getting paid.
I sure was. Better than my $2.15 an hour waiting tables. So Maddox was a newborn, and I started working there, and I fell in love with dentistry. I fell in love. I don't know where I would be without Dr. Talley, because he took me under his wing and he just taught me a whole bunch of stuff that I never knew I would even have an interest in. Dentistry is not something that's ever been on my radar, but it fell into my lap, and I took it and I ran with it because it was an opportunity.
Yeah. Well, and also you know how to interact with people, and so you have to it's customer service, even though, I mean, he's doing the dentistry part, but for you, it's all about customer service, and you're just really good at that. So I can see why you get so excited dealing with people.
He hired me there, and I moved out of my baby daddy's parents' house, and I got a basement apartment where I was paying $400 a month.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of 400, so the first time because I lived with people too after I had Kaylin, like I had never lived on my own. And finally, I was like you. I was like, I'm going to live on my own. I'm tired of just kind of living with people. And my first little rink-a-dink apartment in Buford.
I know.
Was like $400-something.
Jessica lived at that same.
Yeah, that's right.
apartment.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I had a studio.
The bed pulled out of the wall.
Yeah, I didn't sleep on that crap thing because the couch was so much more comfortable. But
right. Yeah.
But your basement apartment was nicer than my studio. Just FYI. But go ahead. Go ahead.
I will. It was nice. So I got my first little apartment, and at this time, Maddox's dad and I mean. We broke up when I was pregnant with him. We knew it wasn't going to work out. He was not ready to be a father, did not want to be a father. Yeah.
And he went off to school. And
he went off to
was
UGA.
Pursuing his dreams.
And he was doing his thing.
Traveling the world.
Yep. I was doing mine here, working. So I got my apartment. I was working at Dr. Talley's office on Monday through Friday. And I was working waiting tables on the weekends. And for the first, I would say, 5 years of Maddox's life, I was thriving. My career was just, there was a point in time that I was traveling all over the United States, teaching other dental professionals.
Yeah, you were training. And you were like, what, 5 years ago? You were like 20?
I was like 4.
15 years old.
I was 4 years old, traveling the world.
But no, that's amazing because that's, with my intro, it's like she's just such a go-getter and so like charismatic that at early 20s, you're going and training other dental, professionals, which is crazy.
It was.
Who's heard of that?
It was an insane experience. Yeah. I mean, I would teach and people would come up to me at the end and be like, how old are you?
Are you like 12 years old?
Or at the beginning, they'd be like, how old are you? And then at the end, they're asking me for my card so that they can pay for advice.
Of
course. I mean, it was just such a humbling experience. And it was so great. And then when I wasn't doing that, I was thriving at Dr. Talley's office. I moved up in his practice super fast. I remember when I was just I don't know. I don't even know if I had a title. I don't think I was worthy enough of a title at that time. I don't know what I was.
That's hilarious.
I was the phone girl.
You answered the phones and said, hello, I'll check you in. I'll let them know you're here. And that was it,
I didn't know what a cleaning was. I didn't know nothing.
What a cavity was.
Nothing. I just knew you had a couple teeth in your head. That's about it. But I moved up in his practice really fast, and I remember I went to him after his treatment coordinator left, and I was like, I think I can be the treatment coordinator. He was like, yeah, okay. All right. We'll see how that goes.
And he's so funny. If anybody knows my husband, he's very slow to trust and slow to he'll give people a chance, but he's like, you're going to have to prove yourself to me.
And he did. He gave me a chance. He was like, I'll give you 3 months. He had a consultant that he worked with. And he was like, you're going to have to train with her, come in on Fridays and do 8-hour trainings. And I'll give you 3 months. And, with each month you'll get, an increase in your salary and all this stuff. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. And I did. And so I moved up in his practice really fast. I was in a relationship. Actually, I was going to get married to someone. So everything was just so perfect. And for me, in my adolescent mind, I could not fathom it. Things just don't work out for me in my mind at that time. And it was weird. And so I was working. I was about to get married. I had a beautiful little boy. I had a great relationship with so many different people. I mean, life was just going really well. And then fast forward to a couple of years later.
Well, and then why don't you get married? You didn't get married.
I didn't get married.
We don't have to go into detail, but
so
it turned out to not
like women.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was my first relationship heartbreak. I was head over heels in love with him, and I truly.
And I never met him, but I've seen pictures, and he's a cutie.
Not hard to look at. Okay?
He is a cutie patootie.
He was gorgeous.
So then we find out that
And this was like right after I was pregnant, and I was like 58 pounds overweight and all kinds of stuff.
And he still loved you.
I thought.
You thought. So
no, I believe he loved me.
Yeah.
But
maybe he was still trying to find himself, or maybe he wasn't. He wasn't ready to let the world know that.
Yeah.
I'm gay.
Yep.
So
I found out that he had been not physically cheating on me, but he was having an emotional affair, and then I found out that it was with a man, and I don't care who anybody is with. That's just not. I mean, my mom is married to a woman. My sister's married to a woman.
Yeah. That's not the point.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But I felt so much heart. He comes from a very conservative, religious family, and their type of religion, they do not believe that is okay. So my heart broke for him. And I was completely crushed. Not because he was gay. Scared of what his family was going to think of him, how they were going to treat him. And then obviously, I mean, my son called him dad. He potty trained my son. He was, Maddox's dad was still doing his college thing at the time. I thought that I had like this picture perfect life. So when he cheated on me and stuff, I'm like, okay, now it makes sense. This is what I'm used to. Don't work out, It was too good to be true. It was too good to be true. So he moved out. At this time, we were living in a nice apartment that we had gotten together, but I didn't let him put his name on the lease because I said, I was smart at that. I said,
you're like 22, 23 at that time?
I was 20.
Oh, you were 20?
I couldn't even legally drink.
Maddox was little.
He was little.
Dang, girl. But I mean, you've lived so much life that you knew.
Yeah. I was like,
so he had to get the heck on.
A home.
So he left.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he wasn't even on the lease.
Yeah.
And it was a point. I made it a point not to let him be on the lease because I did not want Maddox to anything to happen and then him be like, okay, you guys gotta go.
Yeah.
So he left and I continued going on about my business. I mean, I was hurt and I was crushed and stuff, but I got up and I kept moving. Shortly after, it was about a year later, my brother passed. No, it wasn't. It was 2 years later, my brother passed away. And that's when everything kind of went to hell.
Yeah, and I think around that time, I mean, obviously I knew who you were, but we weren't as close then. But I do remember how devastating it was for you.
I think at that time we were not... We had a relationship, but it was more of like an acquaintance relationship.
Yeah,
like you knew me because I worked at practice, and then
the sun is shining today. Isn't it wonderful?
And I would come over for we went on vacation together, and I would come over and stuff, but with my son's grandmother, mutual friends. But around the time my brother died, I think is when.
So then around that time, you were just like really low, and then you started. Doing things that weren't the best decisions for you in your life.
Yeah. I got really depressed, but I didn't let myself feel any of that depression. So it was like I was numb to my own depression, and I didn't realize how mentally ill that I was, how tired and exhausted I was. So when my brother passed away.
And you've never been able to truly deal with any stuff. Like since you were born. Yeah. Since you were born, things have happened to you.
Yeah, life
and you've had
stopped.
Exactly. So then it just kind of, I think when he passed, it just seemed like it was an avalanche. Like this is too much. This is too much, and I don't know how to deal.
Well, I think so. When my brother passed, like when I was younger, aside from the sexual abuse and that trauma, everything was temporary. My parents were only going to be gone for a little while. Even as a young child, my mom did do almost 6 years in prison, but it was only just for a little while. I knew that my sister was going to come back, or I was going to be able to see her. I knew that I was going to see my other two siblings because they lived with their mom while my parents were out doing their thing. But everything was so temporary. So when my brother died, I'm like, holy shit, I can't fix this. And my immediate reaction was to take care of my sister. My dad had only been clean for a very short amount of time. Take care of my dad, take care of my sisters. I went into protection mode. Yeah. And so a couple months after he died, I'm like, that's whenever I didn't even... In my mind, I don't even think I knew what was going on. Just getting up and functioning. I I wasn't the person that I was before.
And it didn't seem like you had anybody around you saying, hey, how are you? Let's talk about it.
No.
You didn't have anybody.
The closest person I had to me, I called and I said, I'm on my way to the hospital. My brother's been in an accident and they don't think that he's going to make it. And the closest person I had to me at that time asked me if I was still going to make it to her son's birthday party the next day. So
didn't care.
No.
And then you were grieving. It's like, why are you still sad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The grief period was really tough because
you will be sad forever.
Forever.
Like my dad has passed. It'll be almost 7 years in a few months. And the sadness doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Ever.
It doesn't. It's been quite the journey.
It gets better, but when you think about it,
yeah. And my brother's death was not near as bad as my sister's death, and I hate to say that, and I know he can hear me, and he knows I love him.
And it's also very recent that she's passed.
But the whole experience in itself was just different.
Yeah.
So a couple months after he passed, that's when I started to drink. And it wasn't being young and fun anymore. It was, I have got to get out of my head and I have got to stop feeling these feelings. And I can't take it anymore. I was so overwhelmed with everything that had gone on over the past couple of years. And then things from my childhood had creeped up on me that I hadn't thought about in years. Just at the time, alcohol is a depressant.
Yeah.
So when you drink because you're depressed, it just makes everything worse.
Yes.
So I would get upset about my brother or about my mom getting arrested because my mom, even now, she just got out of jail a couple of months ago.
So even to this day.
To this day. I mean, she's going to check herself into rehab, she says, next week.
Done that before.
So, exactly. So it was just always something constant. And then I felt like a burden to people because you cannot... It was like every day something was going on, every single day. I remember one day I came into work. I don't know. I think it was right before my brother died. My mom was on the news. Like,
I do
legit
remember
news.
that. Channel 2.
She had guns pulled out on her, and she hit a cop with her.
I remember this. This was like a few years ago.
Yeah, it was right before my brother passed. And I thought she was going to jail, like, for life. Where Dr. Talley came up front and, like, just put his arms around me and hugged me. And so that was a really... So
yeah, there was always something. And then people call you, your mom calls you. Like you're the quote unquote sane one of the whole bunch.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're going through your own crap and your own, shit.
It was so, and I didn't want to talk to people about it because I felt like every time somebody said like, "Hey, what's going on?" it was just always something like crazy.
So like with you put on a happy face to people.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of the same way. But then when you're by yourself, it's just like brain is going. And so you were drinking. And then when you drink.
So when I drink, I think about something else. I'm like, oh, well, the reason I'm upset is because of this. And then it takes me back to 15 years ago when this happened. So it
and then
just
you drink
spiraled.
more. And then you drink more. And you're a teeny tiny, people can't see her, but she's a little, you're what, 5'2"?
No.
5'1"?
On a tall day, I'm 5 foot.
Oh, I thought you were like 5'1".
No,
oh, dang, girl. That's why you wear those heels.
Foot. Yes.
I thought you were taller because of those damn heels you wear. But no, she's a little itty bitty thing. So that alcohol just...
Yeah.
It doesn't take much and you're out. And so I've seen you like that.
Yep.
And it was like you would drink, you would be gone, you would disappear for a little bit. And then...
in the beginning, the first, I would say probably 2 years, I was drinking every night. But nobody knew what I was struggling with. I was able to get up and go to work. And then after 2 years, I became almost physically dependent on it. Like, so then and of course you build up a tolerance to things.
Yeah.
So it would take more. So then the next day I would feel bad. Yeah. And then I was calling out of work or just not coming to work. And it was just all of my relationships had started to deteriorate and...
and then it gives you get into a deeper depression because it's like, oh my gosh. Yeah, and then you were covering a lot of things up too.
I was.
And so finally it came to a head where it's like, something has to change. And I think you went to the hospital then, right?
So the first time I went to the hospital, I was 1013, which is on a suicide watch. I've never in my adult life been suicidal. I've attempted suicide once when I was a child. I did it once too. And I had the right mind because I was
like 21, 22, not to interrupt you or anything, but I had them, something told me, do not tell them that you try to kill yourself. Because I have a feeling that that's the wrong answer. Yeah. And they're going to, and so I just, they kept asking me, and that woman came in there like 50 times to like double check. And I'm like, nope, it was an accident. And I stuck to it, and I got to leave the next day. But yeah, I'm so thankful that I didn't say that I was, because I would have ended
in the hospital.
No, gosh. But anyways, go ahead with your story. So you said, so they knew, you didn't even have to say it, did you?
I had drank so much that I had an alcohol-induced seizure.
Yeah.
So when I came to, I was telling them that I didn't want to live anymore, and I couldn't handle all the pain and the misery and blah, 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 blah. So they automatically 1013 me, even though my intention was not to commit suicide.
No,
my intention was to get drunk and go to sleep.
Exactly.
So I didn't have to feel anything.
Yeah.
But, but because I had a seizure, my mom came. The ambulance had to come and stuff, and when I came to, I sounded very suicidal. So they 1013 me, which is suicide watch, and they put me in a state hospital where I was for 7 days. And that's when I was like, you would think that would be like my aha moment, like, okay, things got to change.
Yeah.
But it got worse after that, because I was like, holy crap. The only thing that I don't want to do as a mother is be like mine. Don't want to put my son through this stuff. And I'm like, and I'm doing that right now.
Yeah.
And that was something that I could not live with. So I continued to drink, and I was hospitalized, not involuntarily. The next 2 times I was hospitalized, it was voluntary. I went, and I kept telling myself each time that I did it, like, okay, what's done is done. I can't change what the mistakes that I've made or what I've put myself through, my family through, my child through. Yeah. I can't change that. But something I can never tell anybody is that my mom tried to get sober. She never did. She was only...
She talked about it. Or she pretended like she's going to rehab. Or, you know, it sounded like she
rehab one time.
But she's kind of going through the motions. Yeah. She's not really trying to get well. Yeah.
She went one time when I was 24, and she was there for like 6 days. So. Yeah. But as a child, she never tried to get sober. She never tried to do right. And so I was like, okay, maybe if I can change what I've done, not change what I've done, but if I can change my path that I'm on, then at least he'll be able to say, you know what, my mom was an alcoholic. My mom had depression, but my mom, she fixed it for me. So I was hospitalized twice after that. And each time I got out, I felt like I could take on the world again and just pick up where I left off. And in recovery, you cannot do that. Yeah. You can't. It takes time and patience, and I had no patience with myself.
You have zero patience.
Zero. None.
It's like, all right, let's do it. I want it now. I'm going to have it now, and everything's great now.
I'm one of those people where I want everything to be okay in that very moment.
Oh, yeah. So it's been a journey, and I've got, you know, we don't need to go into all the details, but I've seen that journey.
You saw it firsthand.
Yeah, I've seen it very, like, firsthand. So, but just to let everyone know, so that's happened. And like you said, you can't change the past. And that's why I love, you know, these stories, because it's like, we cannot change our past. We can only move forward. And that's what you're doing like now. So you've been sober how long?
So I have been sober for a couple of months now. It's so bad because I don't keep up with the dates.
Yeah.
I tried Alcoholics Anonymous, and I found that did not work out for me. It's just not something that resonated with me. I'm currently in therapy, and that's what I find helps.
I think that's a big thing. So but you're trying to stay away from alcohol because you know that you have to deal with some things from your past, and you're just trying to keep on the right path, because it's been a freaking roller coaster. It's been a roller coaster for you.
And I'm so thankful that I was sober when my sister died. If I had been in that same state of mind, I probably still wouldn't be in a bad place, because that was the worst thing I've ever had to go through. So, but now I've been sober for a while, and this
like
is
a few months, right?
A few months, yeah. It's not been like
years and
or
years.
anything,
Yeah,
no.
like we're following your journey.
Wait, guys, in 5 years I'll be back saying I've been sober for like 5 years.
Yeah, no, it would be nice to have you back to just follow your journey, because you're so young, and damn, I mean, it's almost been an hour, and we've covered some of it.
5%.
Yep.
But to answer your question, I've been sober, and things just in the past couple of months have changed so drastically. I obviously lost my job at Dr. Talley's office because I couldn't come to work.
Nope.
I didn't come to work, and I fortunately,
but we still love her through it.
I was about to say,
love her through it.
Yes,
we can be upset with the actions, but not with the person. You know what I'm saying? So.
And it was such a special relationship, and because even when you guys had to let me go, you guys never let me go out of your lives emotionally or our personal relationship, which is something that I will never forget, because you guys were like, you can't come back to the practice and 5 minutes later being like, hey, are you okay? On a personal level. Yeah. So, so I lost my job there, which was a huge blow to me and a huge motivation to get better, because I loved my job there and I loved Dr. Talley and Leonette and their children. So now I'm back in the practice 1 day a week.
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
He's giving her some incentives.
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
You got to prove yourself to him.
Dangling the carrot. I joke with him
One
all
day
the
at
time.
a time. One day at a time.
Yes. But I'm back in the practice 1 day a week, and then I'm at another practice that I love. So I'm working full time again. My son is with me, and he's happy, and he's thriving, and he's all the relationships that I cared about that I lost during this, I have back, and everybody has loved me through the good, the bad, the ugly. Yeah. So I'm extremely fortunate, and I wake up some days like, dang, can you believe where you were?
Just like last year, really.
A year ago. Yeah.
And you're seeing a boy.
I am seeing a boy.
Well, he's a man.
He's a real man.
He's not a boy.
I am seeing a boy.
Well, he's a boy to me until I meet him. But so you're dating.
I am dating.
And it's new, so we don't know.
I've been single for 6 years, people.
Yes.
6 years.
Dealing with your stuff.
Yes.
And, trying to raise your baby.
Yes.
But I want to bring you back on, Bree, because I feel like in 1 hour we had a lot to talk about, and I think following your journey, we're going to see more growth and see where this new relationship takes you. But yeah, I just want to let you know that I love you so much.
I love you too.
I tell you all the time, but I just think you're such an amazing person, and I think that's why people get upset with you, and it's like we want to shake you because we see so many good things for your future, but that's the journey this is your journey.
Right.
And we haven't experienced your life.
Yeah.
So it's easy for us to be like, snap out of it,
You can't teach somebody self-worth.
You can't.
It's something that they have to.
We just have to be here to exactly. So every one of us has our journey, but I just want to encourage you to keep going. I pray for you. I love you. And I want you back on.
I'll be here.
Because I need to know what's going to happen with this man.
You'll know anyway.
I know. But the people want to know too.
Okay, people, I'll tell you.
But anyways, I love to end my podcast with the quote. And this one is from C.S. Lewis. And this one says, you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. And so that's what I hope for you, Briana.
Thank you so much.
All right. Love you too.
Everything I've been through and everything that I've seen has turned me into the woman that you see. Behind all of the smiles and all your favorite melodies were a fistful of tears, years full of pain. Y'all don't hear me.